Hi, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is. Good. That's great. I'm back today. I'm back again. It's been a while. It's always been a while. I go way too long between recording videos, but it's fine. It's besides the point. We're not worried about that right now. There is also, I think, a lawnmower or something outside. I have my window closed. I apologize if it's audible. I can't really do anything about it because it's not my lawnmower, so I can't just go over and turn it off. Today we're going to be looking at Bad Women's Anatomy because I think it's funny, but it can also be very annoying sometimes. But we're gonna try and make it funny. We're gonna get through this together. It's gonna be annoying. You're probably gonna be annoyed, but I promise you, we'll be okay. We'll make it through together. So let's get started. My dad's sperm selecting the egg that would ultimately become me. Firefighter, teacher, scientist, lawyer, some blank papers. Whoever made this they don't know how. There's one egg. There's one egg at a time. In the uterus, there's one egg. Maybe there's an occasional situation where there's two eggs or so. Actually, let me look that up real quick. So yeah, it turns out there actually can be more than one egg at once, which can be how multiple pregnancies, like twins or triplets, can happen. So there's that, but it's not the sperm choosing an egg. It actually, if anything, it's kind of the other way around, even though the egg isn't the one moving, but it's one. There's more sperm than there are eggs. You get what I'm saying. The sperm isn't making a choice, first of all, and most of the time, it doesn't even have a choice to make in the first place. It's, beggars can't be choosers, or whatever. Just remembering the time a patient's boyfriend came in with her, concerned about a lump he found down there, which turned out to be her clitoris. At least he found it? That's more than a lot of men can say, apparently. I wouldn't know. I've never been in a relationship with anyone. And when I ever do get into a relationship, it's not going to be with a man. So there's that. But I've heard tales be told that they're famously or infamously pretty bad at finding the clitoris. But yeah, it's not it's not. And did the patient not know that? Why did she go into the doctor's office? Could she not have just told him, like, oh yeah, no, it's totally fine, it's completely normal, that's just my clitoris? Did she not tell him that? Or was he just so insistent on it that she just did it just so that he wouldn't bother her about it? Just seems a bit weird, I guess. Quick question. How the fuck does a period happen if the hymen is still intact? Answer, it's not. It recedes before puberty. If men are breaking hymens, they need to go to jail. Not how that works. For most people who have one, the hymen is not, like, completely covering the opening. It's not like, I think it's called an imperforate hymen. I need to look this up again. Yeah, it's called an imperforate hymen, which is where there's absolutely no opening in it whatsoever, but most people who have a hymen don't have that problem. There are, like, holes in it or whatever, and an imperforate hymen can be fixed through surgery so that it just opens it up. But the hymen does not recede before puberty. I don't know where this person is getting that from, probably just pulling it out of their ass. People just like to make things up and then act like they know what they're talking about, which is a common theme with the whole subreddit of Bad Women's Anatomy. It's just people being wrong about things in, relation to a female body. A lot of misunderstandings around, like, menstruation and periods especially, or pregnancy and things like that. But this is wrong. You can still have not pregnancy. Why was I about to say pregnancy? A period with a hymen that has not been, like, broken or anything, because most people don't have a hymen that completely covers the opening. So there's that. And if you do, you definitely want to talk to a doctor about that to get that fixed, because that can probably, I'm no expert, but I would imagine that can cause some serious problems if, there's nowhere for the blood that happens during menstruation to go. So, moving on. Why do women even need gynecologists? It's just another excuse for women to pretend their vaginas have so many problems and get the gender-oriented pity party they crave. In reality, it's a little more than a... I apologize. In reality, it's a little more than a pussy social visit and a puff of perfume. Let's face it, if women's vaginas really did have enough problems to warrant going to a doctor, then that's because they can't keep their legs closed and use them too much to manipulate men. This is why I'm MGTOW, which is men going their own way, which is incel adjacent, pretty much. They're incel adjacent, I think. Need to call every appointment to a gynecologist a pussy social visit now. That's hilarious. Gynecologists are important. You go to gynecologists for, like, checkups and whatever to make sure that there's nothing wrong, and I'm pretty sure it's not just the vagina. Could be wrong. Let me check. What do gynecologists do? A gynecologist diagnoses and treats issues with female reproductive organs. They deal with all aspects of sexual health, like preventive care, cancer screenings, and physical exams. Those are pretty important. You can, in fact, have cancer in your reproductive organs, so gynecologists are pretty handy for that. Okay, so obstetrics is specifically, like, pregnancy and whatnot, while gynecology is, all, like, reproductive health issues for people with, like, vaginas and uteruses and whatnot, and, like, all those parts of the body. But they're definitely not just, like, if women's vaginas really did have enough problems to warrant going to a doctor, that's because they can't keep their legs closed. Not true. I'm sure they probably do treat, like, STDs from, sexual contact that, gave someone an infection of some kind, but not always. And also, all problems with a vagina or the reproductive system don't necessarily come from having quote-unquote too much sex, which is often, like, an arbitrary thing imposed on women anyway, because, you're not, apparently women aren't supposed to be having sex or whatever. It ain't me. I don't believe in that. I don't care what you do. No one really should, honestly, but that's not how, yeast infections, I imagine a gynecologist would probably treat a yeast infection, and you don't necessarily get those from having sex. So this guy's just wrong. He's just wrong on all fronts. Oh, this is a fun one. And by fun one, I mean it's going to be very annoying. Fun fact, no pregnancy can be conceived from rape. 0. Seamon needs to swim a distance to pregnant an ovary. Can't swim without WAP, which I'm assuming, wet ass pussy, like the song. Can't be rape with a WAP. Oh boy. And I don't kink shame, but if you getting wet from being gaped, then how the fuck is it even rape? Okay, first of all, there's a lot of issues here. Spelled semen wrong. Also later spelled raped as gaped later on in the comment. So those are both incorrect. Minor spelling mistake, I win. And also, you don't pregnant an ovary. The ovary is where the eggs are, and the ovaries are what release an egg every month, in someone's menstrual cycle. Sperm is not going into the ovary. That's not happening. So you're also wrong on that. And I've been saving the best for last, but the whole thing of, like, can't be rape with a WAP, which just basically saying if your vagina lubricates itself as it will with sexual contact, whether it's wanted or not, then it can't have been rape, because obviously a automatic bodily function only happens when you're actually aroused. And it goes into this sort of, it's very victim blamey, where it's like, oh, if you got pregnant from rape, obviously you actually wanted it, and, it wasn't actually rape, you're just, like, making things up or being dramatic. And it's like, it's very, very victim blamey, and this is also just wrong. Pregnancy can occur from rape, and it does, which is extremely unfortunate, especially with, like, abortion restrictions. If someone's not able to get an abortion after already being, put through something absolutely traumatic. So this is just wrong, and it's a whole bunch of horrible things to say. It would not take much Googling to disprove this, really. It really wouldn't. Would not just... You can at least, like, fact-check yourself before you go and be confidently wrong on the internet, but These people love spreading misinformation online, so it's unfortunate for the rest of us that have to deal with bullshit like this. Ridiculous for a woman not to know they are pregnant after 4 weeks. That's the full menstrual cycle. That's the most amount of time a woman would take to know if they are pregnant or not. The 28-day menstrual cycle applies to, say, 80% of all women. If these women want to abort their babies after the 6 weeks, go abort them elsewhere, not Florida. Most women have a 28-day period. You don't have a normal period, okay? This only applies to Florida law banning abortions. Go abort your kids elsewhere. If over 6 weeks, that's it. This is incorrect. Most people actually do not have a perfectly 28-day cycle. In fact, I looked it up. It's only around like 13% of people who menstruate have a 28-day cycle. So this guy just pulled 80% completely out of his ass. Just out of absolutely nowhere. No basis whatsoever. No source cited. Completely made it up. So, and I mean, a 6-week abortion ban is absolutely ridiculous anyway. In case it's not obvious somehow. I am pro-choice. I do not believe access to abortion should be restricted in any way whatsoever. A 6-week ban is ridiculous. Saying, go abort them. Like, man, my guy, listen. You don't know what you're talking about. You made up a statistic out of your ass. You're saying if 48, what? I confused 4-week and 28 days and ended up saying 48. You're saying a 4-week, 28-day menstrual cycle applies to the majority of people who menstruate when it just straight up doesn't? You are so far off the actual mark of being right. I'm already starting to get annoyed. We're a little more than halfway through, but we still got more to go, don't worry. The anger is not over yet. My foot is going numb. I don't like sitting on the floor, but I have nowhere else. That's embarrassing. I dropped my phone. It fell. That was my bad. I've made a fool of myself already, so we're just gonna move on before I can make it even worse. Yang cannot be gay because her breasts are too big. The female brain is programmed to breed if it's got so much milk stored up. It's science. Wow. These people love being wrong on the internet. They love it. They love to be wrong. They just love to be wrong. I don't know who Yang is. I'm assuming it's some character from something or whatever. That's not how it works. You don't, as far as I know, I could be wrong. I'm open for correction on this. As far as I know, you don't just constantly have milk in your breasts. I'm pretty sure you only produce milk if you've, like, given birth and you have an infant to feed. I'm, like, 90% sure on that. Could be wrong. That's also just not how, like, are you gonna apply that in real life? Are you gonna look at a lesbian with large breasts and be like, oh, you're not actually a lesbian. You can't possibly be gay. That's not how it works. I don't think there's a correlation whatsoever between breast size and whether you're gay or not. It's just silly. It's just really silly. Here's a bit of a long one, so just stick with me. Apparently this person was, like, running for a school board or whatever in Pennsylvania, which is fantastic, and you're gonna see why. And by fantastic, I mean the exact opposite of it. As I read that Pennsylvania lawmakers is considering a ban on transgender shows, I asked my reps in PA to say yes to the ban on those drag shows for this one reason. When that child becomes an adult, they have the freedom of choice as an adult to do or follow whatever they choose as an adult. A child who does not know how to identify what they see in their underwear does not need to be more confused about their identity by telling them a lie about a third or fourth gender when they look in their underwear and see either a penis or a Virginia, which they don't understand under a certain age. Stop teaching the children lies. If an adult chooses to believe a lie, that is their choice. Let the children be taught the truth: male, penis, female, Virginia. Help them to develop mentally first by telling them the truth. Then as adult, you can try to lie to them, and who choose to believe that lie, it is by choice. That is why the schools are reporting today there is a lot of mental health issues. It is what the school boards are approving for our children to learn, forced by the National School Board Association to this type of materials in schools, headed by our good friend Merrick Garland. So, apparently, if you have a penis, you are a boy, and if you have a Virginia, you are a girl. If you look into your underwear and you see the state of Virginia, you're a girl, you're a woman, and you can't change that. You're never gonna get rid of the Virginia. Virginia's here to stay. First of all, drag shows, transgender shows, that's not how it is. drag queens are not necessarily transgender. Some of them are. Drag is a performance art. I'm not like huge into that realm of things, and like I don't know a whole lot about drag and drag shows, but what I do know is that drag shows are not quote unquote transgender shows. Not how it works. Second of all, you should be teaching children about their bodies. Just it's perfectly fine to tell a child the names and the words for the parts of their body. And in fact, that's probably better to do because it can, help prevent cases of like, childhood sexual abuse, because if a child knows the right words for the parts of their body, they can properly communicate when abuse has occurred. Whereas if they don't know the words, they won't be able to necessarily say that they've been hurt or abused by someone because they don't know the words for what happened. As for just the rest of this, I can't believe this person is apparently running for school board. That's why the schools are reporting today there's a lot of mental health issues. It's not because of trans people. It's not because of queer people. It's because school is a living nightmare. As someone who has been through that, who has, gone to school, no longer do. But it's not great. Middle school were like the worst years of my life, and I'm sure a lot of people could say the same. Middle school is just awful. But it's not like a lie. First of all, talking about genitals, that is sex, that's not gender. They're two different things. I know it's a hard concept to grasp. I don't really have anything else to say here, so I'm just going to move on. I'm getting tired. I know I'm putting myself through this, but I'm getting tired. Women, as in biological, cannot get hernias because they don't have balls. I don't think this guy knows what a hernia is. In case you don't know, let me look it up real quick. What is a hernia? A hernia occurs when part of your insides bulges through an opening or weakness in the muscle or tissue barrier that contains it. Most hernias involve one of your abdominal organs pushing through one of the walls of your abdominal cavity. And regardless of whether you have balls or not, you probably have abdominal organs and an abdominal cavity. These have nothing to do with balls. So even if you don't have balls, even if you don't have testicles, you can, in fact, get a hernia. So there's that. Look forward to that. Look forward to it. When I say that, it's like you will have a hernia. Beware of it. Be prepared. Here's the last one for now. We're gonna end on a real banger, a real fun one here. And you should already know at this point, when I say something like that, I mean the exact opposite. JMJ Pregnancy Center. Do you know someone considering abortion? They may not need to make that decision. 1 in 4 pregnancies ends naturally. Don't pay for an unnecessary procedure. Get a free ultrasound to determine viability of the pregnancy. So what it's saying is, don't get an abortion. You might have a miscarriage. Jesus Christ. I did look this up. Miscarriages are actually way more common than I thought. Many of them occur before someone even knows that they're pregnant. So there is that. But this is also just like really awful. It's like this, I don't know if you want this to be an advertisement for your establishment, for your pregnancy center. This seems a little iffy. Miscarriage can be pretty bad and can also result in an infection which could be, severe. All infections can be severe and life-threatening if not treated or handled properly. So maybe just don't have ads like this. That is all for now. I apologize for putting you through all of this. I truly do apologize. But that is it. That was Bad Women's Anatomy. We had a good time here. We had a great time. And by we had a great time, I mean we struggled, suffered, and got angry, but we got through it together, and that is what's important. If you stuck around this long, thank you very much. My face looks really red. Wow, it's quite warm in my room. So that's why. I will turn on my fan once I'm done here so that I don't feel as warm. My room gets really hot for no goddamn reason, and I don't like it, but it's fine. We'll manage. Thank you for being here and suffering along with me. I'll be back eventually. Who's to say when? Not me, that's for sure.